So, welcome to another episode of Taste of Magic. I'm going to keep talking about the Time Spiral cards and the cards that they reference this episode. I'm going to get back right into it. So, the first one I'm going to talk about is Academy Ruins. This is a popular card lately. You can get your Mindslaver card out of your graveyard. It actually references another really powerful land, the Tolarian Academy. This is where Urza was trying to teach young wizards and everything to help defend against the Phyrexians. The next one is Amru Scout, which is a reference to the Amru Kithkin. The Kithkin back from Legends, and as we know, the Kithkin came back in Lorwyn. And so this one references in creature type and in title. It also has the Rebel ability from Mercadian Mass, where you can search for more rebels by tapping it and paying it some mana. Uh, this next one is Amru Seekers, which is another Kithkin. It has the Seeker ability, which was a enchant creature, also back from Legends, which is basically a white version of the Fear effect. This is back before we had Intimidate. Next we have Ancient Grudge, which, as we know, Ancient Grudge and Revelation are similar cards, the white and red versions of the Naturalize, and they've both been reprinted recently in Innistrad block. Next is Angel's Grace, which is similar to Worship, and actually the picture is very similar. And it also has references to Platinum Angel, where you can't lose, in addition to not being able to have your life total go below 1. Next is Aspect of the Mongoose, which is a reference to a couple mongooses that had Shroud. This is before the Shroud ability was called Shroud. Next, Assassinate, which references the Royal Assassin in artwork and in the ability to destroy target tapped creature. Next is the Assembly Worker. This is a reference to Mishra's Factory, which became an assembly worker, but could also give a +1/+1 to target assembly worker. Now we have an actual assembly worker. Next is the Barbed Shocker, which is a reference to the Shocker. It's a little bit bigger than the Shocker, and it has trample and haste. Next, the Basil Sliver, which is a reference to the Basil Thrall, and you can sacrifice it to get 2 black mana. The Basalt Golem, or Gargoyle, rather, which is a reference to the Granite Gargoyle. They both get, you pay 1 red to get +1 or +0/+1, different than Fire Breathing that you usually see on dragons. Next is the Banalish Cavalry, which is a reference to Benalia. This is actually the region of Dominaria where Gerard is from. Next is the Blazing Blade Ascari, which is a reference to the Burning Shield. And next, the Bogarden Hellkite, which references a specific area called Bogarden in Dominaria again. And the Bogarden Rager, which again, Bogarden. This time it's an elemental instead of a dragon. Next is the Bone Splitter Sliver, which gives +2/+0, just like the Bone Splitter, which was the kind of generic axe equipment from Mirrodin when they first made equipment. Next is the Brass Gnat, which is in reference to the Brass Man, which they don't untap unless you pay 1 mana. The Candles of Lang, which is a reference to the Library of Lang. Castle Raptors, which is a reference to castle. As long as it's untapped, they get +0/+2. The Children of Corlys, which is a reference to the Martyrs of Corlys, all the way back from Antiquities. the Chromatic Star, which is actually a little bit better than the Chromatic Sphere, because when it goes to a graveyard you get a card rather than when you use its ability, so if somebody disenchants it you still get a card. The Chrono Servant, or Chrono Savant, is a reference to the Necro Savant. They both have the same mana cost, well, less color heavy, but still 6 converted mana cost for a 5/5. Next is the Clockwork Hydra. There's been a lot of Clockwork Beasts over the ages. This one references the Spitting Hydra. Clockwork Beasts go all the way back to Antiquities, but there's been printed throughout the ages of Magic in Mirrodin and many artifact-themed sets. Next is the Cloud Chaser Kestrel, which has an interesting ability. It can turn target permanent white until the end of turn. Also, when it comes into play, it destroys target artifact, or target enchantment, which is a reference to the Cloud Chasers, the Cloud Chaser Eagle and the Cloud Chaser Aven. Both of them cost 4 mana. The Cloud Chaser Kestrel only costs 3, so it's a little cheaper. Next is the Coal Stoker, which is a reference to the Priest of Gix. It's a creature that when it comes into play you get mana. The Priest of Gix was actually changed to the Priest of Urabrask in New Phyrexia, Urabrask being one of the Praetors. Next is the Corpulent Corpse, which is just the Gluttonous Zombie with Suspend. Next is the Crookclaw Transmuter, which references the name of the Crookclaw Elder. Next is the Curse of the Cabal, which references Braids with the Sacrificing ability. Next is the Cyclopean Giant, which references 2 cards, the Cyclopean Tomb and the Cyclopean Mummy. Next is the Devenant Healer, which again references 2 cards, the Devenant Archer and the Samite Healer. Next is the Deep Sea Kraken, which is a 6/6 unblockable, just like the Tidal Kraken, but this time it has Suspend. Next is Demonic Collusion, which is referencing Demonic Tutor. Next is Divine Congregation, which is referencing Congregate. It has Suspend. Unlike the original Congregate, it does not have instant ability, and you only get 2 life for every creature target player controls, not every creature in play. Next is the Draining Whelk, which is a creature version of the Mana Drain. Mana Drain being a very powerful card. Draining Whelk, also pretty powerful, but much more expensive. Next is the Dream Stalker, which is similar to power and toughness of the Dream Prowler. Next is Drifter Ildal, which references Vati Ildal. There being 3 people in Wrath, the Plane of Wrath, the Dal, the Vek, and the Kor, and before their name is either Il or N. Il meaning they worked for Volrath, and N meaning they rebelled against him. So that is all the time we're going to have for this episode. There are a lot more cards than I originally thought. So if you like these episodes where I'm talking about just references of cards, give a thumbs up to this episode and I'll keep doing them. Because there are a lot more cards that I can go over for Time Spiral, and again, there's some cards I want to talk about for Plane Chase, or Planar Chaos, and Future Sight. So join me next episode if you like it.